Let's dive right into this explainer on the Vietnam War, a conflict of good intentions that ended in tragedy. So how did a local independence fight become America's darkest proxy war? Let's trace this crazy escalation. Get this, the most shocking part of the timeline? The US actually started out arming Ho Chi Minh's forces. The irony here is massive. Back in 1919, President Woodrow Wilson literally ignored Ho's peaceful petition for independence. But then, Cold War paranoia set in. America went all in on the domino theory to contain communism. By 1954, Vietnam was totally split, a communist North squaring off against President Diem's dictatorial South. President Kennedy then upped the ante, deploying Green Berets and authorizing brutal chemical weapons to clear the jungle. The real turning point, 1964. President Johnson used a totally fabricated naval attack to justify deploying ground troops. To choke off enemy supply lines, the US dropped an unbelievable 3 million tons of explosives on Laos. Down on the ground, soldiers faced a nightmare: dense jungles, deadly booby traps, and M16 rifles that constantly jammed. So what was the exact moment the American public stopped believing the government's promises of an easy victory? The 1968 Tet Offensive. The sheer scale of this surprise attack completely destroyed any narrative that victory was close. Meanwhile, in the shadows, Richard Nixon secretly sabotaged the 1968 peace talks just to win his presidential election. Once in office, Nixon pushed Vietnamization, pulling American troops out while forcing South Vietnamese forces to do the fighting. Public outrage truly exploded when the horrifying My Lai massacre of 500 innocent civilians leaked out, fueling massive protests. The end came fast. US troops left in 1973, funding completely dried up, and Saigon fell in 1975.
Vietnam united under communism, but the immediate aftermath was grim. Brutal re-education camps, starvation, and total economic collapse.
Now, stepping back from the politics, we really have to look at this staggering human cost of this war. Over 58,000 American soldiers died fighting a war their own leaders secretly knew was basically unwinnable. 250,000 South Vietnamese soldiers died defending a government that eventually collapsed completely. More than 1 million North Vietnamese and Viet Cong fighters died fighting for their own vision of independence. And most heartbreaking of all, over 2 million innocent civilians were caught in the crossfire and tragically killed. This matters today because the war left a permanent legacy of falsified facts and totally broken trust in government. At the end of the day, the unbelievable bravery of the soldiers was completely overshadowed by political failures. Looking back, we have to ask ourselves, when political pride dictates military strategy, who truly pays the price?